in Jos, in Plateau State, you know that when you are alive, you cherish every moment. You just cherish every moment because it's an opportunity for you to live to the fullest, and that is what we want to do on the Baroness today. We want to make this 1 hour count. It wouldn't just be a passing by. It's something that will really, really count. So we enjoy you to stay with us, and you will not regret it. My name is Beyedmoa Nyam. I'm not alone. I wish the house were fuller, but of course, 2 is better than 1. So I have Kermo.
Thank you. It's a whole scenario of 2 heads are better than 1 and all that. But obviously, it's a difficult time on the plateau. We understand that even though it's a festive period, a moment of celebration, Easter, a moment that has deep significance for Christians, here on the plateau, we are a bit conflicted in the sense that peace is what we want on the plateau. We have had our share of setbacks, ups and downs, but it is also a time for us to come together as a people to understand that there is a time for everything. Pain does not endure forever. There is a time for everything. So right now is the time for us to be united as one. And on the Baroness, we are here to keep you company. So we hope that you will obviously stay with us and you will not regret it.
Yeah, we're concerned about what has been happening. We do not want to live in isolation. We do not want to pretend these things are not there. And that is why on the Baroness today, we want to look at pain.
True.
We want to see how you can cope. We want you to find peace. Find solace in this very moment of pain. Is it possible? That is what we will find out on the program today. And we have powerful men in the studio today whom by their, when you hear the introduction, you know that they are the best people to discuss what we want to be discussed today on the Baroness. You just stay with us, but Kermon will introduce them and we just set the ball rolling.
Sure. Obviously, I am delighted to introduce our guest today. It's in continuation of our ongoing series dealing with traumatic experiences. That is what we have in store for you today. And we have experts who will obviously do justice to the topic. The very first happens to be the Secretary of the Nigeria Association of Social Workers here in Plateau State, the Plateau State chapter rather, which is in short for NASO. He is Mr. Martins David Dalyop. It's a pleasure to have you on the Baroness.
Thank you for having me, please.
Thank you for coming. We also have a clinical psychologist, BAM Therapeutic Services, Jos, Mr. Philip Dimka. Thank you for being here as well.
It's an honor and a delight. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now we are no stranger to what has happened on the plateau. We're more saddened with the fact that it is something that's been reoccurring. So it's like we have a period where there is peace. People relax, go about their activities, and even forget the past. But then, after a while, it happens again. The streets are soaked with blood. People start crying again. It's not something we're praying for to keep happening, but it has become a pattern. Why is that? Is it something we're doing wrong? Or is it just that we are unfortunate on the plateau, as some seem to be saying? We'll start off with you, Mr. Martins. Sir?
What would I say? These are things that must happen as long as life goes on.
Okay.
And as a social worker, one must advise that you have to prepare to live with them. Preparing to live with them is not in any way an encouragement for perpetrators.
Yeah.
There are evil people. There are people who are best described as sadists, who are only happy when people are in this condition. And there are people whose livelihood erroneously depend on this type of heinous activities. But as a social worker, I would want to tell, in my own professional view, that people at this point should take heart. We preach the healing of traumatic experiences. It has happened, what next? You are in a traumatic situation, you are confused, somebody wants to die because somebody has died. That shouldn't be it. Your life is as important as the life of the person that has just died. And if you add to yours, it makes two, which is bad. We must face reality. The person's life has come to an end, not minding the way the life has come to an end. You have been left the responsibilities of that person who just left. And if you take the exit along with him, who now takes care of that responsibility? From the holy books as a Christian, when you take your own life, you have sinned, you've committed murder. And you've killed yourself by yourself. You've committed suicide, rather. The person who was killed has no fault before God. But you who would kill yourself because that person has been killed would have God to answer to first of all. And so we must look at reality. We must face reality. What am I going to do to better the situation? This is what a social worker stands to achieve at this very point in time. What will make the situation better? Are my decisions henceforth, immediately and henceforth, going to improve the situation? Better the lot of those people that were dependent on this breadwinner? Are their lives going to be helped or going to be worsened by my sudden exit also? No corpse takes care of the problems of another corpse that left. And so you as a human being who is alive, it's your duty, though abrupt, it's your duty to take care of the problems, the responsibilities that the person, that relation that has accidentally been killed. And so don't take the laws into your hands. Don't take irrational decisions. Accept the fact that that thing has happened. Think less of how it happened, the manner in which the person has left. Whether he was killed, whether he died in an accident, whether in whatever way. Think of what he has left behind and think of how you can add value to those responsibilities that he left behind. If we do that, the society would have been corrected.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dalyop. So the clinical psychologist, Mr. Dimka, is there a best way to respond to pain? Is there an ideal way to respond to pain when it comes, especially looking at what happened with us here on the plateau? Let's hear the ideal, and let's see how we can get to that.
Well, that's quite an interesting question, and thank you for asking that, because when you talk about pain, like he said, it is important to understand that pain is inseparable from life, because we live in a broken world, we would experience pain. And pain has some sort of psychological and physiological meaning to existence, because we are able to define our experiences in life as we have them. And pain is one of those things that, gives life some sort of meaning. I know it's tricky when you hear that. You say, what's the meaning of pain? But it's important to understand that if you are unable to feel pain, that in itself is a problem. But to reflect closely, respond to your question, the idea that pain should be responded to in a certain way is unrealistic, because we have different thresholds for pain. People experience pain differently because of the uniqueness of our personality, our temperament, our, physiological and psychological history. Because of our experience, we will respond differently. So there is no textbook definition of how an individual should express pain. You express pain the way you feel it and the way that you are able to cope with it. So for someone, when they experience pain, they might numb it. They might have flat or no expression at all. But for others, when they experience pain, they might become angry. Some may become irritable. Some may become so sad. Some may become hopeless. Some may become helpless. So there's no ideal way. There's only just the normal way to respond to an abnormal event. So when pain becomes overwhelming, people will find themselves responding in diverse ways. Whether you who is observing think that that's appropriate or not, they are responding to an overwhelming experience that they do not have control over. So that's, at the basic level, is the psychology of pain and how we respond to it. Because pain itself triggers, the survival part of the brain. It triggers the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. That means that at that point, the person is not thinking, because when the survival part of the brain engages, it disengages the prefrontal cortex of the brain. That's the part of the brain that thinks, that analyzes, that makes decision, that thinks before taking action. So temporarily, that part of the brain is shut down. So you cannot expect rational behavior from a person who is experiencing pain, because they are trying to survive. And survival can look like anything for that person. But all of the response can be influenced with, depending on the person's previous experiences, knowledge, their experience in life, their personality, their temperament. This will affect how people respond to pain.
And I'm concerned a lot of times, whenever you go to the hospital today, you want to treat an ailment, the emphasis sometimes is for you to even avoid it from happening in the beginning, in the first instance. Is it possible? Are there ways? You are the expert now. I'm still with you, Mr. Dimka. Are there ways that one can prepare? Like, let me guard myself in case pain comes, whichever type. Is there a way I can guard myself so I do not react in a way that is detrimental to me and others around me? Is there a way I can guard myself from, not that I will stop the pain from happening, because like you have rightly said, in this broken world, we should not expect anything less. Pain will come. But is there a way I can prepare?
That's an interesting question that is getting me to think. It's both a yes and a no. A yes because, you've rightly balanced it, the fact that you cannot avoid pain, you cannot stop it from coming. But when it comes, what happens? And I think pain, our experiences to and our response to is interesting, because you need to have experienced it to be able to prepare for it.
Wow.
It's like a muscle that you train to go through an experience, so that when you're in the sport, you are better fit to respond to that event. So, but for pain, you cannot tell the magnitude of pain that you'll be exposed to at a particular point in time. But here is what you can do. I think with people are able to cope with pain better when there is meaning, when they can make sense of their experience, their painful experience. So, to answer your question simply, I think we can still go back to the concept of resilience. You can only build resilience to respond positively when you experience a painful event. How much you see life, and I'll go back to, for instance, the issue of your worldview, your mindsets. Because having a growth or a fixed mindset helps you to process pain better than others. If someone has a growth mindset, they are able to explain or make sense of their experiences and cope with it. If someone has a better social support, for instance, they have good connections, friendships, families, they are able to share their pain with others. However, people that are more isolated will tend to deal with their pain alone, so they get overwhelmed. So we are talking about your mindset, one, and your quality of your social relationships helps you manage pain better. And then how you see life generally helps you cope with pain, because if you are hopeful about life, it tells you see pain as temporary, momentary. It's going to pass. I'm going to get through it. But someone who has a negative view of life, for instance, would become overwhelmed and say, oh, my world is crumbling, I'm finished. So absolutely, you can prepare for pain depending on how you see life, how your quality of your social relationships, how grounded you are, how clear of a mindset you have, and all of that. But then your response cannot be predetermined, because pain comes in different thresholds, and if you're overwhelmed, we can only hope that you respond appropriately.
Well, I really love the response, but let's get a response from the social worker's point of view. A lot has happened on the plateau. I alluded to the fact that we're no stranger to what is happening. We've seen our fair share of dead bodies, people in the hospital. Some people might say that it has become quite common, entirely too common on the plateau. Now, as a professional, a social worker, I'm sure you have also had to deal with the victims of some of these crises. When you talk to them, how do you encourage them to move forward in light of the pain? It's been said that a lot of them should seek therapy. But as Africans, even though the mindset on therapy is changing, a lot of families still believe that going to see experts to talk about your problem is simply a waste of time. So do you think that mindset should be what resonates with people as we find a way forward? Because all what we want is people to be healthy, physically, mentally, and even spiritually. So what would you suppose should be done in this instance?
Yeah, in the first place, before I delve to that or delve on that, I would want us to also understand from one other point of view what my colleague has said. Pain is a response. Is a response from what we call stimuli. And the degree of stimuli determines the degree of response. And time also has a lot of play in this. How you would respond to a situation now may be different, largely different from what you would have responded the same situation tomorrow, or you would have responded yesterday. So pain or response, either violently or by withdrawal, like he said, and people say that person is too temperamental. He has hot temper. He has this. But it's even better to do that than to withdraw, because as you withdraw, you go to depression. Okay. And so we would want to advise at this point that anybody who finds himself in that scenario should find somebody to talk to. Don't withdraw.
So one can say that it's not too soon for them to seek therapy. Is that what you're saying?
It's not too soon.
Okay.
There are stages of being administered the social work principles that would help you get out of situations, even in terms of emergencies. There are micro levels, meso levels, and macro levels. And then you go through a long time monitoring and healing process. But let me go back to what you asked. You see, just like I said from my preamble, that which has happened is not the first time it ever happened. You bring reality to the person affected. If this person has been killed and is a member of your family, he has just been killed. Has somebody died before or not? Somebody has died before. Somebody, how did the person die? Perhaps the person died and it was claimed that one witch in the family killed the person. Or somebody died by an accident unexpectedly. And somebody was very sick. And to some extent, some people would have been saying, Kai, this man God would have just rested this person from all this pain. But yet, after the person dies, emotions follow. Because death is not a familiar thing. Now, what the person affected by such situation wants to see is care. That somebody is there for him. Both being there for him to console him, that somebody should be seen advocating in areas of meeting the government to do what should have been done to curtail or to deter that from happening. If he sees that an effort is being made to forestall future occurrence, the person begins to get relieved. And when the person now further gets to hear that policies are being overheld, you are changing policies to meet up the current challenges. You are also advocating for them. You are providing the means, referring them to appropriate. Immediately something happens as an emergency. After you stop, you've just been crying for the next 2-3 hours. The next thing is your stomach starts biting. You need to eat food. And in that kind of situation, the social worker looks at the totality of the person concerned. So he provides an immediate solution of food, water, medication, shelter. And to the clinical, I would want to call him clinical social worker. To the clinical social worker, you see, the general social worker harnesses all the energy. We have different aspects, which his is one. By the point you get to where you need the services of a clinical social worker or a clinical psychologist, you call the person to come for trauma healing. By the time you need an agency, for instance, the daughter, Tinubu's daughter has just formed what we call food bank. That's where you store food and dish out to the needies at the right point. Those situations, people who exist with that those organizations are there, and you, the social worker, you would have known them, but the ordinary person wouldn't know. So you channel their complaints, direct them to where they will find help, and also go and find help for them and ask them to go, or you bring to them. By the time the person sees you do that, he knows that genuinely you care for him at his present predicament. So what he does is to accept you. And if he accepts you, you have already navigated him to begin to bring calmness and seek advice. He begins to come down to face reality. And that's what...
Okay. You know what's running through my mind as you were speaking is this topic, finding solace in pain. I'm sure it looks like we trying to rewrite it's like you don't have pain, that's why you're talking. Mm-hmm. How can I find solace in pain? So is it possible? And how can we do that? We will answer this question when we come back. But right now, we would like to go on break. And if you're just joining us, this is the Baroness, and we have been discussing finding solace in pain with this powerful gentleman. In the studio, we have the clinical psychologist here, Mr. Philip Dimka of BAM Therapeutic Services here in Jos. And we have the State Secretary of the Social Workers Association, NASO, Mr. Martin David Dalyop, who are doing justice to this discussion. I'm sure you would like to stay with us. We'll be right back.
Against you. I would consider that very unfortunate.
You are not here.
We have interface.
Never been a moment.
Whether it's entertainment, education, or information, we're always here for you. Stay tuned to the Baroness on Prtvc Jos every Tuesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on repeats on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Baroness, changing lives a day at a time.
I hear your SOS, your SOS. I know it's all you've got to just be strong.
Okay, the money does not manifest anything.
And it's a fight just to keep it together. I know you think that you are too far gone.
Thank you, comrade.
But hope is never lost.
Okay, Cameron, don't do that.
Hope is never lost.
We have another.
You're welcome back, and still the Baroness, if you have just joined us, and we have been discussing the topic, finding solace in pain. And two gentlemen have been doing justice to this discussion. We have one from the Social Workers Association, Mr. Martin David Dalyop, who is the State Secretary of the association, and we also have in the studio the clinical psychologist from the BAM Therapeutic Services here in Jos, Mr. Philip Dimka. Yeah, I had posed a question. How can you find solace in pain? By the way, viewer, we have the opportunity. You have the opportunity to join us. The number will be displayed very soon on the screen. You have opportunity to join us in this discussion. You could ask questions or make comments or whatever concerns you have. Before the program, the number will be displayed. I have it here: 070-365. 45779. I take the number again: 070-365-45779. The number will be soon be displayed on the screen. Yes, the question I posed before we went on break was the fact that how can we find solace in pain? When pain is there, how can we find solace in it? I'm sure there's a professional way to do that. They are here to help us. Mr. Dalyop, would you want to help us? How can you find solace in pain? Pain is already there.
Thank you. That's quite an intriguing question, but interesting. I don't want to I'm not looking down on any other faith, but I want us to refer to this phrase in Christianity that says, knowing the peace that surpasses all understanding. The peace that surpasses all understanding is that peace that you are seeing, harboring, despite the pain that you're passing through that would have ordinarily made you portray a lot of actions of sadness. So, coming to this question, to be at peace even when there is pain, religiously, like I referred to, is what is that thing that is making you not to have peace? What is that thing taking away your peace that has not happened? There is nothing that will happen to you today that has never happened. So as a social worker, to walk and navigate through a client who is in pain, to see reason why peace should be accepted, peace should be harbored, peace should have a place, is first of all face reality. Right, this person has been killed. He did not ordinarily die. Now ask yourself a question. Are you not going to die one day? The person talking to you as an agency, as a social worker, trying to counsel you, one day will die. And if I ask you, how do you want to die? Is it by accident, or you sleep and you don't wake up, or you drown, or in an accident? Nobody wants to die anyway, anyhow. Anyway, nobody wants to die, but to die is compulsory. You have to die. So if you make this person to face that reality, the utmost pain here is the manner in which the person died. He was killed. And so what happens? Should you kill? You shouldn't. Prepare the person to understand that God, the Creator, saw, you can't do social work without regard to the culture, faith, societal influences, culture, and all those things. Man lives as part of his society. And so when you draw the person's attention to the fact that whether this happened or not, this person was definitely going to die one day, and his day has come. Your day will also come. And do you know how your day will come? So live with it and move ahead. Move ahead. With proper intervention, when you x-ray the situation, you assess the situation, you look at two different people coming from the same family, but 3, 4 of them, all of them are responding differently to the situation. You will see somebody smiling. You see somebody shedding tears. You see somebody keeping quiet. After a few days, you see somebody feeling normal, as if nothing has happened. He has accepted reality and forged ahead. Somebody will stay for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and each time he meets a particular person, he remembers the death of so person. This is because there is no proper intervention in that kind of situation. Trauma does not only happen during situations like this. Even when you just wake up in the morning and you just hear that, when I was driving here to this place, I was called on the phone and told that a very good friend of mine died. And we've not met for quite some time. I had to console myself. I had to say, come on, you're going to be on air. That thing is not supposed to show on your face. And I'm sure if I didn't say it, nobody would have known that I faced some little trauma before coming to this place. And so you have to make the person face reality. Look at the background, look at the culture, look at what is facing in the society, look at his faith, background, everything surrounding him. Touch it to ensure that the person is strengthened. Strengthen his coping capacity so that the adversity will not be done.
Yeah. I don't know what the clinical psychologist will say, because they are scientific, and sometimes you hear scientists tell you when you toe the path of religion in order to solve a problem, you are taking an escapist position, just trying to dodge it, in some kind of way, because they see religion as very weak in handling scientific tough issues. So how can we find solace in pain?
Well, fortunately, clinical psychologists, we have been researching into culture, into religion, and we now know for sure that religion and culture plays a role in meaning for people who have gone through a disaster. So even though we build our practice on, core scientific procedures, we do not neglect the cultural background of who we are interacting with. We do not neglect the faith of who we are interacting with. It's not the focus of therapy, but we are able to lean on that to help the person process and make sense of what they are going through. But just to add to what my co-guest has spoken to regarding making sense of pain, I think that at a very large scale and community scale, like we are experiencing in Plateau, I think that there's something fundamental that's missing. I have watched the news. I have seen how, yes, the government has gone and made an address. One or two people have gone there to say one or two things, but something critical is missing if people must find solace in their pain. First of all, within 24 hours of the occurrence of that devastating event in Angon Rukuba, we should have had psychological first aid administered to those people. It was missing. As clinical psychologists, I led a conversation online. We mobilized ourselves and we're asking questions. What do we do? I live in Just North. There was a total shutdown. But we were trying to reach out to the Plateau Peace Building Agency to see how we respond swiftly. Because people have gone through a disaster, you want to step in within 24 hours to offer psychological first aid, find out where they are at, and provide their basic needs, like he has said. Food, water, clothing, safety, or find their loved ones who are missing, help them settle, nothing serious. But within 72 hours plus of the event, you want to go into critical incident stress debriefing. We want to begin to help the people process and make sense of their traumatic experience that has happened. None of that has happened so far. And that is a loophole. That is what we continue to see on the plateau. That is why after the event, the pain never heals. It's like a sore wound under the skin. Next year, something triggers it and the response is massive. The pain and the outrage, the anger is massive.
Can you hold that thought, please? I'd like us to get this first call. Hello, you're on to the Baroness. Your name and where you're calling from, please. Hello? Hello? Okay. Please do try to call us back again. We're having a bit of network difficulties. But proceed.
So what we are experiencing on the plateau is critical that we have to respond to it in a way. If we want people to experience solace right in the midst of the pain, and solace is not the absence of pain, really. Is not the absence of a devastating event. It is the presence of stability, of peace, of meaning in the midst of the pain.
Sorry, please hold that thought. Hello, you're on to the Baroness. Your name and where you're calling from, please. Please be audible. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
I'm from Benue.
You're from Benue. Your name, please. Okay, what do you have to say? Okay, so that sounds like a minor. Please pay attention to the program and you know what we are talking about. I'd like to add something to what you're just saying. It's a thought in line with what you just mentioned. A lot of people went to the scene of the incident, and there have been lots of clamoring for people not to go on defensive, on offensive, reprisal attacks, for people to just forgive and forget. In your opinion, is that realistic? Someone is hurting. They have lost loved ones, and you tell them forgive and forget. Are we realistic in that expectation?
Okay, let me compound the problem.
All right.
Vengeance, you'll agree with me, is sweet. Yeah, it's a way. I have asked that question. I asked that question among youngsters at one point. I just did that. I just said, how do you feel with revenge. And they said it was sweet. When somebody takes, experiences what they have experienced, like it's sweet. Like the feeling is mutual. He also felt what I felt, so it's okay. It's sweet. Why is all these therapeutic processes? Why is vengeance not taken as one solution, as a solution?
Well, because vengeance doesn't solve the problem. It gives momentary pleasure to the person responding, to what has been done to them. Momentarily, they feel like they've given back. But it does not fill the void, like he has said. It does not replace the person who died. It does not replace your property. So even though the person, meted a vengeance or responded with violence, minutes after, they feel empty, they feel dissatisfied. Why? Because they have not resolved the internal conflict that they are struggling with. And now here's the point. To find solace in pain, especially in the context of Plateau State, one of the key factors that is missing, besides all of the psychological and sociological interventions that will bring, is justice. And the absence of justice is one of the key reasons why people will respond with violence and reprisal.
That's right.
Why? Because when trauma happens, it ruptures your sense of safety. It ruptures your sense of connection. And it tempers with your belief about yourself, about the world, and about others. Now, you're already dealing with fear and isolation because of what has happened to you. Then you are struggling with the belief that you are living, and when people grieve from trauma, we are not grieving just loss. We are grieving safety. We are grieving the idea of a community that we once knew that is not like it again. So here is what happens when there is no justice. People lose faith in the system that is meant to protect them. People lose faith in the world that it is not safe. So I am struggling that I'm not safe in my home. I'm not safe in the home. Then I'm struggling with the fact that no one is there to protect me. So when the social systems meant to punish perpetrators of violence fail to do so, someone who is hurt would decide to take the responsibility for the action and respond with equal violence. But guess what? It does not satisfy, the hurt that is within.
I'm confused. What's the difference between justice and vengeance?
Well, justice and vengeance. Well,
because if justice comes, people get punished. So why vengeance is not punishment? Can't we just do the vengeance?
No.
Well,
all right, yeah.
Vengeance is punishment meted by the individual who is experiencing the pain. It's a reaction, not a response.
Okay,
but justice is a response, not a reaction. Justice takes charge of what has happened, evaluates it, brings the perpetrator, questions them, give them the opportunity to what? Before the court of law, and then administer the law. There is a system in place in every society that takes care of what? Administering justice. So justice in Plateau State is one of the key ingredients of finding solace for people who are going through pain.
I still want to talk about justice, but from a social point of view. Now, you mentioned the whole entire process, justice. Legal people are fond of saying that justice is like a mile, a long journey you go through, you undergo. It doesn't just happen in a day.
Yeah.
So when we talk about justice this, justice that, and we are expecting that what happened, the victims and their families should actually have justice for what happened. Don't you think that we are kind of like fast forwarding everything, that it is a process that we should probably be patient and wait for it to take its course?
Well, absolutely, you could argue that, but this did not begin today, like we have established. This is an occurrence from 2001 as we know. In fact, before 2001, if you check the records in maybe 94, there are records of this perpetrator. So, but if you check the records, there has been no public prosecution of people who have been found wanting. The question is, do we even know those who have been found wanting? We are not saying that's all that is needed to find Solace, but we are saying that's an important piece that the government has to take into consideration to help people process their experience. Because if there's justice, people are able to make sense that, oh, I can be safe. You know, there's a system, higher system that protects me. Because if there's no justice and there's violence, society degenerates into what? Into society breaks down, because that takes away order. So it's important that even as we're providing psychological interventions, helping people process their pain, helping people find meaning as a result of all we experience, other systems that are supposed to handle other aspects of interventions must also do same, so that there will be holistic healing. Because we are not talking about an individual, we are talking about communities. So this is collective trauma that we are dealing with. And if you don't handle it, it just goes on underneath, and then it is triggered next month or a year or two from now.
Mr. Dalyop, let's have a social worker's point of view on this.
Yes, it boils down to what he has also mentioned, the failure of the system. You said something that looks like what they say, justice delayed is justice denied. It's there in the corridors. You see, when people lose faith in the system, they take laws into their hands. What we are preparing now as social workers in Plateau is to, part of our work is to influence policy. Part of our work is to advocate for the people. You will not be surprised to see people in a rally or in a procession with social workers in front of them, leading them. So why do they have to lead them? So that nobody takes the law into his hands. Don't kill. Don't do this. Don't do this. It will cause more harm. But come. We agree with you that something needs to be done. And so come. Let us go to where that thing should have been done. And so if we do that, the people have some level of trust, some level of comfort that somebody here from the institutions in society is standing with us. We are not just thinking as human beings to think this has to be done and then it remains with us. No, somebody is saying also that somebody was arrested. Okay, like it was being said over the social media that some people were arrested with military uniform, half military uniform in posters, and some were arrested having been seen to have killed somebody. When you see that person back on the street within the shortest possible time, if you catch somebody, a culprit, you will kill him. Because you know certainly that if he goes in the next week, he will be seen out. And that means money or something, power, induced by either money or relationship, would have played a way to get that person out that is not supposed to even be there. So, but if the person takes some time, like 2, 3, 4 years before you see him, you will feel justified that perhaps he has gone to jail and come out as a deterrent, and may deter from doing that thing tomorrow.
Okay. This discussion is really getting really better because we are delving into the issues. Unfortunately, our time is not too friendly. So in just a few seconds, Mr. Philip Dimka, what would you advise we do when we are faced with pain as a people? You talked about the fact that how you wish you and your other colleagues were engaged to be with these people. Just, will it stop reprisal attacks? Will it stop all this anger? Will it forestall future occurrence? Or How do you come in to help? Now you're only talking about those who are affected, but those who perpetrate the wickedness now are out there. Just a word, how can we work so we don't have to be managing, doing some damage control activity, please?
Oh, this is so broad. But I would say that it is important for us to, there are different levels of responding to these things. So it's important that if you are experiencing such pain in the midst of all that has happened, it's important to understand that this is a difficult experience that you're dealing with, but you can be able to find solace in the midst of your pain. That means that it is possible that even though the pain is overwhelming, to still find a way out. So a viable question to ask is, how can I manage my difficult experiences? Where can I get help with processing my experiences? And that's where we come in to help individuals, process, whether at the individual level or at the community level. But this does not take away the fact that the perpetrators are out there, and this might not necessarily hinder people from, responding with anger, but at least it helps them immediately process and make sense of their experiences, and definitely help them manage how they respond afterwards. So it's not a simple process, it's complicated, but we can begin from somewhere.
Yeah, Mr. Dalyop, 1 second. What would you say to the victims and also our government? You were discussing about justice a while ago.
Government must rise to the occasion, most especially the security institutions. Speed in implementing deterrent on perpetrators must increase. Pain plus patience and understanding and reality solves the problem. Pain plus vengeance adds to the pain. That would be what I want to say.
Okay. Viewer, if you've been with us, I'm sure you have gained something, just as we have gained here. The fact that we cannot change sometimes. This pain is with life itself. So it's good for you to think of how to cope, work your way on how to cope by using the relevant institutions that are there that will help you cope with it, so you do not act wrongly or harmfully, let me say. Not wrongly, but so you don't harm yourself, you don't harm people around, just because you're trying to cope with pain. From all of us here, Kermun.
Remember, in the words of Albus Dumbledore, happiness can be found even in the darkest times if one remembers to turn on the light. Please turn on the light, especially the season of Easter.
Justice is very important. Please, those responsible, if justice is in your hand, serve it. Don't keep it, to keep our society peaceful. From all of us, bye-bye.
You fill your mouth with words and words. You twist them well. Oh yes, I heard. Shits and ties don't cover your light. I see you come. You try. You know me, and you say you get the same society. You know me, and you say you get the same philosophy. Same society. You know me, and he said we get the same philosophy. You know me, and he said we get the same philosophy.
PRTV, committed to you. PRTV, committed to you.
A crown of thorns placed on his head. He knew that he would soon be dead. He said, "Did you forget me, Father? Did you?"
PRTV, committed
They
to
nailed
you.
him to a wooden cross. Soon all the world would feel the loss of Christ the King before his
committed to you.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
PRTVC, committed to you.
Your kingdom